We've got the full breakdown of who got paid, who got played, and why the NCAA looked the other way while the casino sharks moved in. So here with his reaction is Media Director for the Consumer Choice Center, Stephen Kent. Stephen, thank you for being here.
Nice to see you, Riley.
So the integrity of college ball is coming unglued. What are your thoughts?
You know, I'm going to go ahead and show my hand here in one regard, which is that I'm not actually like the biggest enthusiast of sports. I watch a lot of politics. I keep track with sports betting policy and all things regarding gambling regulation. But, you know, to me, organized sports has always been sort of an illusion that people participate in quite willingly because it's fun, it's tribal, it gets people excited. But, you know, you and I both know, and I think a lot of sports fans would know, that for the past 100 years, you've just seen dozens and dozens and dozens of players in almost every form of sporting end up involved in a federal investigation for rigging games and getting involved with organized crime and the mob, rigging games and stilting the outcomes. So we sort of see this happen in waves. Of course, it was a big deal in the 1920s and 1930s with professional baseball, but we're really seeing an uptick in the recent years regarding college ball, which is relatively new.
Yeah, so to your point about policy, what kind of regulation could you even put into place, if any, to try to prevent this from happening again? Because for mega sports fans like myself, it really does strike a chord.
Yeah, well, you know, the conservative side of this argument, you know, particularly Republicans and conservative commentators, have been doing a lot of hand-wringing since 2018 when the Supreme Court sort of opened the floodgates for states to have their own sports betting markets. You know, we're talking about major platforms like FanDuel and DraftKings and the likes. And so there's been this sense that there's sort of been a new wave of corruption of people's minds in the United States as we've been able to make all sorts of different bets on games and parlays on different plays and actions. But I look at this and would just argue that you would have to find a way to pass a law against human greed. The most recent FBI raids and stings on these players, these coaches, sometimes in the NBA, I mean, they are making tens of millions of dollars per year, and still they can't keep their hand out of the pot because they want more. Now, this most recent case involved a lot of college ball players, particularly ones who feel jilted by the NIL regulations, so name, image, likeness. They want a piece of the pie, and their reputation has not been making them much money in terms of brand deals, marketing, and video games, and they go the way of corruption. To me, this says nothing about the law or sports betting regulations or a Supreme Court ruling. It just says that people are the same as they have always been, corruptible.
That's fascinating. So whether it's politicians or businessmen or athletes, the takeaway here is that everybody can be corrupted.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's I think a temptation to believe that something changed in public policy, but what we are seeing right now is that it is easier than ever to bust the people who are cheating. The thing about online sports betting, Riley, is that it's quite transparent. There are people tracking you and every single move that gets made on these games. And there are so many eyeballs right now on digital forms of gambling. You've got to be insane to participate in game rigging in 2025 onward. And right now, what we're seeing is an uptick in people realizing that we can see you. And the FBI is going to be probably taking a lot more people down in the years ahead. And I do think that then you will see a decrease and a flattening out in the rates of sports betting corruption, because so many people have finally gotten the hint that the digital age is making it harder than ever for you to get away with this stuff. But there's been no change in law or regulation that has made this more rampant, just more transparent.
That's interesting. And I certainly hope that you're right, by the way, because, again, as a huge sports fan, it does undermine the game's integrity, and that does, really strike a nerve for a lot of people who do care about the integrity and sanctity of the game. However, only time will tell about what happens next for this situation. But in the meantime, Stephen, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, Riley. Thank you.
Well, folks, that concludes